If you write anything on your computer, you need to get Grammarly.
I write pretty much all day, every day, and Grammarly makes my writing better.
As a student,
And we're good.
So teachers and parents, welcome to our 5th grade curriculum webinar. This is Dr. Mack, and we're glad that many of you could join us this afternoon as we really look at what's coming up second semester of 5th grade as we sadly kind of finish out this school year with your sweet babies before they head off to middle school. So in the room with me this afternoon is Mr. Hance, Ms. Brooks, Ms. O'Keefe, Ms. Larson, and Ms. Masola. Mr. Nama is usually with us remotely because he likes to listen to the webinars to make sure that the technology is doing what it's supposed to do. Ms. Masola is also here to keep an eye on the technology, but she's also going to be jumping in just a little bit to talk to you about how to use the technology on your end. One of the things I would like to ask is that we are going to hold questions until the teachers have the opportunity to get through their information in the webinar. Now, with that said, if a question percolates in your brain while we are actually walking through things that are happening this semester, you can still go ahead and put the question into the chat screen, which Ms. Mazola is going to go through that with you in just a little bit. And what I'll do is I'll hold the question until we are finished, and then I will act as a moderator and read the questions to the teachers so that they can then respond to those. So one of the reasons that we have decided to do the format of a webinar is to really reach our parents where you are. We are very aware that many of you have other obligations and commitments during the day, and it is not a luxury or very easy for you to get on site to actually meet with the teachers to talk about these topics. So what we're hoping is by doing some webinars throughout the year, it will allow you to be as informed as possible about things that are coming up that works hopefully on your schedule and where you are. Be it sitting at Starbucks or in your office or at home, we want to make sure that you're getting all the information that you can. And 5th grade second semester is a pretty jam-packed semester as we're about to transition them out of elementary school. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Masola to talk about submitting questions.
Hi guys, this is Ms. Masola. I'm just going to quickly go over how to send a question if you have one. Just like Dr. Mack said, if it is in your head, don't wait to the end. Go ahead and put it in the chat box and we'll answer it at the end. If you're on an iPad, simply tap your screen and a toolbar will come up from the top. On the right-hand side, you'll see a little chat icon. Click that, and then that's where you enter your questions. If you're using a desktop or a laptop, simply move your mouse around, and then a black toolbar will come up from the bottom. Look for that chat icon in the middle of that toolbar, and then you'll be able to chat and send us a message. All right, back to you, Dr. Mack.
All right, thank you, Kinshasa. So the last thing that I do want to ask you guys to give consideration is really think through how this format has worked for you. We would love feedback on it because if this is something that was good and you felt it's something we should continue to do, we want to know that. If we could have done it better, we want to know that as well. It's our first time doing this, so any feedback you can give us would be very much appreciated. And without further ado, we are actually going to jump in with the 5th grade team. So I am going to turn it over to Ms. O'Keefe.
Hi, everybody. Nice to have you with us today. I'm Charlotte O'Keefe. As you know, I teach language arts. We have 2 major exciting activities second semester, which you'll be hearing more about later. Cookie Companies and the trip to Skidaway both have language arts components, which I will describe a little bit for you. Wordly Wise vocabulary is continued approximately the same way that we have done it first semester. And daily grammar practice as well. There's a slight change to that that's noted here. If any day's item is missed for any reason, the students should make it up at home and have it ready to go when they come to class. Even if they've been sick and are not feeling well, those very short items are doable.
We
reading and writing. That's what we're all about in language arts. And here are 3 items that we'll be doing. We are currently doing the biography essay, and the kids are doing very well with it. That is due this coming Tuesday. They need to type it, and they have a template in order to do that. And they are very familiar with printing out their work for Wordly-Wise, so they will need to print it out and bring it to me on Tuesday. Then we will, at the end of this month, we'll start The K, which is a wonderful book. It's an historical fiction novel, and it follows the same format that we used for Not a Buddy, with the guided reading questions, an occasional quiz, and there is lots of interesting information associated with that book about World War II and about Curacao and the company that was there during World War II. Then the graphic novel is a really fun book report project that we do in April. It's due in April, and they will work on that in class on the storyboard program. It's love graphic novels, and the report that they create is also a graphic presentation.
And I just want to jump in about the book The K, because almost every year I go down and I observe Miss O'Keefe when she's in the middle of teaching that book. And parents, if you had the luxury of watching Miss O'Keefe teach that book, it would be a beautiful thing, because it's phenomenal of the themes that she really draws out of that book for the students, and really having them understand even things that are inferential in that book that they probably wouldn't have gotten without her guidance. So it's a phenomenal thing to watch.
All right, now don't worry, I'm not going to go through every single bit of this, but you can read this on your own later. But the cookie companies, this is the connection to language arts, and there are many things listed there which are language arts related that they do in their cookie company groups. And as you know, we form companies among the children, and they actually have a company, and they create they produce cookies, and we sell them for our service project for the year. The Skidaway trip, the requirement from my class for that is the nature journal, which is a lot of fun and has many great parts to it. And it's sort of free. It's an open-ended. There's certain requirements, but it's also open-ended, so it's creative, and they can enjoy sketching and writing notes about what they did during the day and that sort of thing. So we love doing that with the kids every spring. And the final book report of elementary school is the Georgia Book Award report, and that has a very simple format that we will also do in class.
All right, good afternoon. This is Kate Larson, and I teach math. Math class in second semester continues to be the same structure that it was in the fall. We have nightly homework, weekly Mastery Mondays, which cover the material learned the previous week, as well as classwork. A big part of the classwork is the morning work. Math morning work is assigned every Tuesday morning during homeroom time and is due Wednesday at class time. In addition to those things, we also have the unit test. I'm sure your students came home and told you about our next math test, which will be a week from today. One thing I kind of want to reiterate as we are getting into our study of fractions, because fractions historically are hard for fifth graders. They really have to work through to kind of understand what we're doing and practice the skills. I view homework as just that, practice. So the homework grade is on effort. Did they attempt every problem? You know, there's a write about math question on every homework. Did they do that? If they did that, they get all the possible points. If your child is struggling, if they come home with an assignment and they're having a hard time, that's okay. That's why we practice, so that we know that it's hard. Please encourage them to come see me in the morning, send me an email, ask questions during class. And if you have a child that is less likely to do this on their own, please don't hesitate to follow up with an email to me. A lot of times if nobody asks any questions, I'm going to keep going because I'm assuming that we understand everything that's been covered, and I appreciate the feedback. What we will cover in second semester, we are almost done with our unit on adding and subtracting fractions. After that, we will move into multiplying with fractions, which is the math that we use for Cookie Company when we have to double, triple, sometimes even quadruple recipes to make all the cookies that we need. We will also cover dividing with fractions and wrap up the year with geometry that has a focus on three-dimensional shapes and volume.
So this is Ms. Msola again, just reminding you that the students have access to Go Math online. And I've received a couple of questions asking how to access that website. So I just wanted to add in a slide to make sure you see how the students are able to log in. Just make sure the country, state, and district is filled in before you're able to see St. Martin's Episcopal School. If the district doesn't say private school, then we actually, our school doesn't populate. Also, if you see under our school, you see the Remember My School check mark. That's a great thing to check if you don't want to go through that each time. All the students receive their Go Math logins at the beginning of the year. And they should have that as well. If you have any questions about that, feel free to email me or Ms. Larson as well. We can help you with that. Also, once they log in, there is a lot of good resources that the students have access to. So if we're needing help, go ahead and log into Go Math as well to access some of those resources.
One thing that has been helpful for the study of fractions, if you go to the iTools library, which we have the intermediate library in 5th grade. It has a star, and I think for your children, it's on the lower left-hand side. But they have a lot of manipulatives available to them, and one of the things that is beneficial for the study of fractions is there's fraction strips, so they can visually see and move the parts around to see how the fractions relate to each other.
That is so cool. I wish I had that when I was doing that.
Hi parents, this is Whitney Brooks with Social Studies. Second semester is going to look very similar to first semester in our structure. We will have class discussions, group work, and research projects. We just finished our first unit on reform movements. Students turned in their projects this week and they look wonderful. I'm in the process of grading them right now, and I will have those back to students next week. Yesterday, you might have heard about our new project we just started on the presidents. Yesterday, students were assigned a president, and we have already started the research. I have assigned a due date of Tuesday, February 6th. This is pretty much going to be done in class. I feel pretty confident with that due date, but as you know, next week, and I know there's a math test and a biography, if problems arise, and I will push that due date, but right now I'm going to keep it with Tuesday, February 6th. And then Cookie Company. When we start Cookie Company in social studies, we will study the economics of running a business. Students will, in my class, we will pick our business names, our Cookie Company names. We will pick roles. We'll have a CEO and a COO, and we'll talk about what that means and what that role means. It's a lot of fun. And then as the year continues, we're going to wrap up with the Civil War. We do have a field trip planned to the Atlanta History Museum in May that will support us with the Civil War. It's a very interactive and engaging field trip where students will get to see artifacts, and we get to go on a journey as if we were a soldier during that time. And we have various stops, and students get to make a decision, and depending on the decision they make, something might happen to that soldier, and at the end you find out what really happened to your soldier. So it's a really great field trip. As always, if you have questions, please email me, have your students see me. I'm available anytime to help. late work policy. Our policy for second semester is we're still using the class responsibility sheets. So when students have missing homework, they will lose a point and have to go to study hall. But we are also adding, because we are preparing students for middle school, a deduction of 10 points per day when an assignment is late. So if for all missing work, we now will deduct points for this semester.
And one thing, since I know the flu and strep seem to be circulating throughout the 5th grade, if your student is absent, they have the same number of days that they miss school once they return to complete any missed work before that missed work is counted late. We do expect them to kind of start keeping up. So like if your child was out, Tuesday, Wednesday, they come back on Thursday, they will have until the following Monday to complete the work missed Tuesday, Wednesday, but we want them to try and keep up with the Thursday night homework so they can participate in class on Friday. All right, Cookie Company is one of the special things that the 5th graders get to do. We will begin Cookie Company this year on February 26th. Be on the lookout for an information packet from us probably the week before the 26th. Cookie Company is a cross-curricular service project. You've heard from all 3 of us kind of what we do that relates to Cookie Company for our particular subject. And then once at the culmination of Cookie Company, we sell all the cookies and proceeds go to the UGA Marine Institute at Skidaway Island. A few things we wanted to give you a heads up about is we do ask for some parent support during Cookie Company. We need supplies, equipment, bakers. The bakers will come and pick the made cookie dough up from school and take it home and bake it. The bakers do not need to package the item. The children will package the item in class on Thursday. And then we also ask for help on Mixing Day. Mixing Day is Wednesday, March 7th and takes place in my classroom. It is organized chaos, so as many extra eyes and hands as I can have is helpful to make sure we don't mix up, teaspoons of vanilla versus tablespoons of vanilla. Cookies taste much better when you use teaspoons rather than tablespoons. Then on Thursday, March 8th, which is the last school day prior to spring break, we spend the day selling, packaging and selling our cookies to the whole school.
Skidaway. Such a great trip. We get the absolute pleasure of going on this trip every year. When I say that, we truly do mean that we love this trip, and we go on it every year. So you'll see that on this slide, we will have a mandatory parent meeting on Wednesday, March 1st at 8:30 in the morning. Liz will be sending out information about that, so I don't expect you guys to remember that at this point, but go ahead and do a placeholder if you would like. I do know that some of you have children who have been to Skidaway. We do still require that at least one parent attend that meeting because there are some things that shift every year that are different from when your child went. So March 1st, 8:30, it's about a 45-minute meeting, and we really go through the details and specifics of the trip so that you guys have plenty of time to make sure your child has the items that they need to be comfortable on the trip and to be able to really fully enjoy it. Now, in terms of the actual trip dates, we do leave really early on Wednesday, April the 11th, and we will return quite late on Friday, April the 13th. And we are going nonstop from the time we pull out to the time that we pull in. And this trip is the first trip that our students actually go overnight. So it's a huge developmental milestone for a lot of our students to be able to do this trip. And you'll hear at the meeting, a lot of parents always ask us, can we go with you? No, you can't go with us. That's part of also developmentally. It's time for your children to really separate a little bit and be somewhere without you. But we'll talk more about that at this getaway meeting. And just so you know, we will be tweeting from there, so you'll get some sense of what your children are doing while they are with us.
Okay, so here we have a list of some important dates for 5th grade. The first one with parent-teacher conferences, you should have received a sign-up, and that is 2 Fridays from now. So we're looking forward to meeting with you and discussing your child's progress. These dates are just for 5th grade events, so please make sure you still check the website and emails for events and happenings at St. Martin's.
The one thing that I did want to highlight on this list is really the 5th grade Crossing the Green, because that is a 5th grade event that happens in conjunction with 7th grade, because we do the buddy program with 7th grade. For those of you who have had older children go through, you know it's a really quick ceremony. It literally lasts maybe 15 minutes. And if you would like to attend, you can, but just know it's really quick. And it is on a Wednesday morning. It starts roughly about 9:15 and we're done by 9:30. But it is such a great symbolic event of really signifying that our 5th graders are taking a huge developmental step into 5th grade. Into 6th grade. So I am so trying to get over being sick this week, so my brain is somewhat not working on all cylinders. So you'll get more information as we get closer to that, but that's one that I really did want to highlight for you because it is 5th grade specific.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Wade Hance, the student's science teacher. I wanted to take some time this afternoon and talk to you a little bit about the students' upcoming STEAM fair. The purpose of this time is to give a really high-level overview for those that are new to St. Martin's and haven't done it before, and talk about some of the things that are new for families that have done the STEAM fair once. So in the 5th grade year, this is their 2nd time doing the STEAM fair. It's my favorite part about it because they get to apply anything they learned in the 1st year to doing it again in the 2nd year. STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and math, and it was made so students could explore their interests on their own. In order to do this, this project takes place 100% at St. Martin's. Also, St. Martin's provides money to the students for them to purchase supplies, about $1,000 between the 4th and the 5th grade, so that they can each purchase their own supplies. Nothing has to be done at home. First STEAM fair was in 2016, and we had about 3 teachers. Now we're up to 14 or 15 teachers, which is really exciting. Our STEAM fair starts the week of March 19th this year, which is directly after the students' spring break, and it will not conclude until STEAM night, which is Thursday, May 3rd. This year, groups will still be 3 to 5 students each. However, the boys and the girls are going to be in mixed groups this year. 4th grade, they were in boy groups or they were in girl groups. But developmentally, it's important to us that they learn to work together this year. And we believe that this is really going to help with a more natural collaboration when they get into the later grades. So we can start it now. The big new part this year is the STEAM certifications. So 5th grade has level 1 through level 5, and they do certifications outside of school, and this unlocks more equipment that they can use during the STEAM fair. After level 2, the challenges are 100% optional, and these later levels will unlock things like motors. They can use a 3D printer, and at level 5, they can even use augmented reality as a part of their project. Some things that are the same as last year is they're still going to choose their project from the project catalog, and if they come up with their own idea, they will meet with Mrs. Missouri and myself to try and work out some of the kinks on the feasibility. Getting in front of that really seems to help. And we are transitioning the supplies, the buying of supplies, to a digital process this year, and we'll hear a little bit more about that in a later meeting. And before and after school work sessions, just from the beginning this year, we are going to say that they can sign up for before and after school work sessions. And the format that they will do this is through a Google form. And again, we're going to cover this in a lot of detail at a meeting at a later date. STEAM night is Thursday, May 3rd at 6:30 in the middle school building. This event is really meant to be a celebration of the students. They work really hard during these months. And I think you'll be amazed if you haven't come out before at what you see and what the students present. So this year it'll be all throughout the middle school building. The kids will be showing off their work, and we'll also have video presentations running in the atrium so that you can hear about this project from the students' perspective, not just from the teachers. Okay, that was an extremely high-level overview of the STEAM Fair. I want to get in a lot more specifics later, and because of that, we're actually going to have a STEAM Fair specific webinar. 5th grade is actually going to have their own webinar because there's some things that happen in 5th grade that don't happen in 4th grade, and that is going to be Wednesday, March 21st. So please look out for an invitation from Liz in the coming weeks. That is really going to be a beneficial webinar to attend if you're not really sure about what the STEAM Fair is, or if you're not sure how the 5th grade STEAM Fair differs from the 4th grade STEAM Fair.
Right, so we are at the end of our actual information portion of the webinar. So I know we already have one question that actually came in, so somebody listened and actually put their question in right when it came up as y'all were speaking. So I'm going to actually pull that up now, and I'll read it off to the teachers. Will there be any assignments or events that include costumes?
They do make a commercial for Cookie Company, and costumes are optional depending on what they choose to do for their commercials.
Also, when they, on sale day, sometimes they'll wear, like I remember kids that had a leprechaun theme for their cookies, wore green hats and vests and had things like that worked with their brand.
Yes.
So I would say that it's not required, that the student groups may decide that they want to do something. Is that accurate?
Right.
Right, and then gold mine, pioneer, Civil War costumes specifically. That they would need in that, particularly with me. I don't know if there was anything that we.
No, we will not need any of those costumes this year.
Good question, though. It is making us think back.
I know.
through
If
the
you have
years
any
now.
ideas, let me know, because I'm curious what we could do with those costumes. But as of now, no.
And so what we'll do is we'll give parents just a little bit more time to think if they have questions, and time to actually get it typed into the chat box is also really. So it's looking like there probably are not any more questions. And what I would ask parents, one, thank you so much for being with us and going on this adventure with us. If you do have questions once the webinar is over, please do not hesitate to reach out to any of us. We are very happy to answer questions, follow up, give you more specifics about things. The webinar has been recorded, and it will be uploaded to the elementary school parent page on the school website. Once our tech team has had time to actually take the recording and move it over into YouTube and send me the link, then I will get it updated to that page, and I will send out an announcement to everyone that it is now available. Feel free to watch it as many times as you want to. I'm thinking it might be some great sleep webinar time for me. I might pull it up at night and just let it play in my ear as I'm dozing off to go to bed. But truly, please give us feedback about the webinar. We want to make sure that things that we are trying are appropriate for you guys, or if you have feedback about how it could have been better, we would love to hear that as well. But thank you for joining us. Have a great Friday afternoon and a great weekend, and we'll see all of you guys back here next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, guys.